So I don't know if Tim Boyle's necessarily an upgrade from Zach Wilson. Wilson was just so bad that they had to move on from him, kind of making a statement that they're probably going to move on from him as a whole in the offseason. But I'm very excited about Boyle for this opportunity in this spot here. He can make plays down the field, and I'm not saying he's going to throw a ton of touchdowns in this game. I think there's going to be more interceptions than touchdowns based on what he's done in his career. But he can still go over his passing line. This is very low. It's set at 165.5. It was as low as 158.5 on FanDuel. It's jumped up to 165.5. So get it right now. Boyle in his last two starts in the NFL, 262 yards against the Seattle Seahawks in 2021, and then 187 yards against the Atlanta Falcons in 2021. So you look at Boyle, he has the ability to attack defenses down the field. And the Jets really haven't had much of a run game lately, right? Breece Hall has been stoned at the line of scrimmage. Teams are loading up the box. They're saying, hey, New York, beat us vertically. So there's going to be opportunities for Tim Boyle to throw the ball down the field here. I'm going to play the over on his passing line. I think this is the better way to go than taking a side. My one concern with the New York Jets, they are -9 or +9.5, but that line hasn't moved at all. So I am concerned in that. I'm going to go with Tim Boyle to take some vertical shots down the field and hopefully get over this line. They're going to be playing from behind. He's going to need to throw. Makes sense to me.
Yep, I do think that makes a lot of sense, and I do like the logic there, as it is going to be a little bit of a grody game, and I believe that you've got a little bit of a lean on the under with regards to the full game as well.
Yeah, I would definitely lean under on this game. When you look at the New York Jets, they're probably going to struggle to score points, right? Tim Boyle is not a juggernaut quarterback. He's not going to totally change the identity of this New York offense. They really don't score. You're not getting a big upgrade from Zach Wilson to Tim Boyle. I think Boyle can maybe be a little more efficient if they just don't really challenge him too much, if they don't force him to do too many things here. And then when you look at the Dolphins, they're going to have a tough test going against this New York Jets defense. I go back to that Chargers-Jets game a few weeks ago. Justin Herbert was not good in that game. The scoreboard really doesn't show how good this Jets defense was because they were blown off the field, but Justin Herbert wasn't good. The Chargers run game wasn't good. New York has a very good defense. I think we're going to see that against Miami in this spot. So counting on limited points from the Dolphins, I think it's probably enough to cover, but limited points there. And then this New York Jets offense, I can't trust them to score that much. So hopefully Tim Boyle doesn't put this New York Jets defense in bad situations consistently here. If he doesn't do that and just protects the football, I honestly think this game could be in that 30-point range. A lot of people are talking about the Houston Texans because they're the surprise, they're the underdog. We love to talk about the underdog, but what about the Jacksonville Jaguars? They were expected to be good this season. They have struggled at times, but they're a 7-3 football team. They're covering spreads. They're doing everything right. Trevor Lawrence maybe hasn't been great this season, but he's still putting up good numbers, and they have a good run game behind Travis Etienne. The biggest reason that the Jacksonville Jaguars are going to cover in this game is their defense, and I feel the spread is disrespectful. I think Jaguars should be upwards of a 3-point road favorite here against the Texans because Houston doesn't play any defense, but we'll talk about that in a minute. When we look at this Jaguars team in terms of the cold hard football facts, cold hard ranks the Jaguars as the 9th team overall in their quality stats power rankings. They also have them when it comes to the quarterback position here. Trevor Lawrence is 12, so right up there in the top 10. When you look at C.J. Stroud, he's been very good, but this Houston Texans defense, the biggest concern, 21st in defensive passer rating. They're also 26th in defensive rusher rating and 15th in total team yards allowed. So a lot of areas for the Jacksonville Jaguars to attack Houston vertically. They need to contain C.J. Stroud. If they do that, they cover the spread with ease. Give me Gus Edwards all the way. He's been fantastic. And Keaton Mitchell's getting a lot of praise right now, the explosive back that can make all the plays, right? But make no mistake about it, this is still Gus Edwards' backfield. And the fact that you're getting him for plus 100 now because sports books are giving him a little more value in the sense of Keaton Mitchell's here and can also score and take carries away from him, take this line. When they are inside the 10-yard line, Gus Edwards is the man getting the football because he's a powerful guy that can also run away from people, but he can run through them. He scored in his past 5 games. In 3 of his past 4 games, he has multi-touchdown games. He pretty much willed this team to victory against the Bengals. I know Joe Burrow getting hurt didn't necessarily help Cincinnati's cause, but when you look at the Ravens, he was a big part of that win. So I think he finds the end zone. And for plus 100, that is an absolute steal considering how valuable he's been around the goal line and the touchdowns that he's been able to have. I mean, this is kind of like the Christian McCaffrey Jr. scoring touchdowns. Not necessarily on that level yet, but he is scoring consistently. Yeah, jump on the Philadelphia Eagles -3 right now. If it goes up 3.5, I would look towards the money line. It's going to be in that -170 range. I still believe it's worth taking here. Bottom line is the public loves the Buffalo Bills. They've always loved the Buffalo Bills. Even when they're not playing well, the public still loves the Buffalo Bills. And that's a problem here. When you look at Buffalo, they're not back. I'm not saying that Josh Allen's back after a really good game against the New York Jets. Great, you finally covered a spread. It's the first spread that you've covered since week 4. So I can't trust them after one win against New York in dominant fashion. I want to give them credit, but it's not enough for me to jump on that train. I'm going to go with the Philadelphia Eagles at -3 here. When you look at the Eagles, they do have some concerns in the secondary. They haven't been super efficient, but there's something that they have that you can't teach, and that's finding ways to win. I know they relied on some drops the other night in Kansas City, but they still found a way to win. They made the plays when they needed to. Jalen Hurts came alive in the second half there, and they beat the defending Super Bowl champions. That was a game, too, just going back there. Like, Jalen Hurts wasn't losing that game. He's had a screensaver of him losing the Super Bowl on his iPhone the entire offseason. He was ready to play, and that's how this Philadelphia Eagles team plays overall. They play with a chip on their shoulder. I think if they can contain Josh Allen, the secondary, they're going to be just fine here. That's the one area where they're weak. If they're going to be able to shut down the Bills' run game, they're very good in the trenches on defense. And then I expect Jalen Hurts to be good as well with A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith down the field. So look for them to have a big offensive game here. This could quickly turn into a shootout, but I like the Eagles because bottom line is they're finding ways to win more than anyone else in the NFL this year.